What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Josh, and I just got done watching Totally Killer, which is a new Amazon Prime original film. It's part comedy, part slasher, and also part science fiction. There's some time travel involved in there. It's basically Back to the Future, but done as a slasher. Essentially the gist of it is there are these three girls who were murdered in 1987, and those girls had a friend who is now our protagonist's mom in the present time. Through some really bizarre events that we will soon discuss, our main character gets sent back in time to 1987 and must try to foil this killer's plans before they're able to kill these three girls. This film stars Kiernan Shipka, who I quite like. I did catch a few episodes of the Sabrina show, never really got into it, but I thought she was a very captivating lead in that show. But funnily enough, to me, she'll probably always be Don Draper's daughter. I like her as the lead in this though. She's charming, she's charismatic, and the same cannot be said about a large portion of the characters in this movie. And I get that part of it is that it's supposed to be funny, it's supposed to be satire. When she goes back to the 80s, a lot of these teens are dumb, they're unaware of common tropes, but some of these people act like utter idiots, and it really started to get on my nerves. There is some sharp humor in this, but then there are other things that feel totally redundant that we've seen in so many other time travel movies. For instance, the main character, Jamie, I didn't even mention her name before, she pulls out an iPhone and people ask her if it's a time machine. They don't know what the hell it is. There's a point in the film where her and a bunch of girls get together and eat weed brownies, and they have little to no effect on her because I guess weed wasn't as potent in the 80s as it is now. Also things like lack of DNA forensics, and people just generally speaking talk really politically incorrect. And your mileage on this humor will depend on how much that sounds funny to you. What I most enjoyed about the film is that when she travels back to the 80s and locates her mom, they're essentially the same age, and her mom is a huge bitch.
Oh my god. Mom. Fuck off and die. Jesus, Mom. Masita. Ay. Ay, ay, ay.
That was when the movie was at its funniest, when she's just saying horrible things to someone who she doesn't know is going to be her daughter in about 20 years. I did watch the trailer for this before watching it too, and I think the trailer had pretty much all of the good jokes in it. Randall Park is in this movie too. He's really funny. I swear that guy could be in anything, even a really bad movie, and I'll still find him entertaining and pretty funny. Shame he didn't have a bigger role, but he has a line in this where he's like, "I hate time travel movies. They never make any goddamn sense." Unfortunately, I kind of have to agree with him. Satirical movies and comedies still need to adhere to some form of reality for me to find them entertaining and enjoyable. And in this movie, the way they build a time machine is so stupid. One of Jamie's friends quite literally builds this thing that apparently is a more advanced version of her mother's prototype at a high school science fair. Now, I know the writers didn't have a ton of options in terms of coming up with ways that a time machine would exist in this story, but there was next to no effort to bring any sort of reality to this. Really what it made me think of is Ant-Man's daughter making that quantum travel device in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Totally different movie that exists under totally different circumstances, but it was so unbelievable to me that it kind of broke the fabric of this movie. The other unfortunate truth about this film is that it doesn't really work that well as a slasher or a whodunit either. The killer in this has a very specific MO. He stabs his victims 16 times with a knife, so the kills are not very inventive. They're pretty much all the same thing over and over again. Lots of CGI blood that looked very fake. And the reveals in the end were puzzling, I guess, to say the least. I feel like the biggest problem is that I wasn't really invested in any of the characters except for Jamie, so when it's revealed who is actually doing this, it just didn't have much of an effect on me. I think what I enjoyed most about this, again, is when she first got back to the 80s, there were some funny jokes when she was just encountering strangers, when she goes to the school to locate her mother and winds up in this complete culture shock of an environment. The problem is, I feel like we've seen so many movies do that, and they've done it so much better. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely am down for more movies like this that essentially take a beloved classic and insert this satirical horror vibe to it. We saw that done with Happy Death Day, which was essentially Groundhog Day but as a slasher. And then we saw it again with Freaky, which was essentially Freaky Friday but as a slasher. But ultimately, I found both of those movies to be a lot more clever and sharp with their humor, also a lot more entertaining from a thriller slash slasher point of view. This is it's just middling. I'm gonna give Totally Killer 2.5 out of 5 stars. I feel like I'm being more negative in this review than I intended to be. It just felt very formulaic and generic to me, despite the fact that they had a really cool premise. I mean, the trailer hooked me clearly because I don't check out streaming originals, at least right when they come out, unless it's something that really piques my interest. But this just wasn't quite it. So that is my take on Totally Killer. Be sure to let me know down in the comments, as always, what did you think of this film? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.